Hello, I'm Karina Kleshchun. In today's episode, Ukraine has attacked Russia's strategic aviation for the second time. The Russian army is rapidly approaching Sumy. Elon Musk has harshly criticized Trump. Russia is preparing for revenge and may strike Kyiv or Odesa with a nuclear missile. Subscribe to our channel. Here you'll find only truthful news. Give us a like if you support Ukraine. Right now, let's talk about the situation at the front. The enemy is relentlessly pressing in the Sumy region. The Russians are already just 22 kilometers from Sumy. According to the deep state map, the occupiers have captured 2 more settlements there. Just a week ago, the front line was 5 kilometers further away, 27 kilometers from the city. If the Russians take the town of Kotin, they are currently 8 kilometers away from it. They could begin a direct assault on Sumy, warns a soldier with the call sign Muchnoi. But our forces are responding. They have eliminated an enemy company strongpoint that was covering an important direction in the Kursk region. Artillery and FPV drones targeted this position for several days. After that, infantry moved in. Assault troops from the 225th Battalion took control of the Russian fortification. At the same time, Ukrainian forces continue to hold a bridgehead in Russia's Kursk region. A Ukrainian MiG-29 struck a concentration of enemy personnel and ammunition in Kyotkino, located in the Kursk region.
Today, enemy is carrying out massive shelling from settlements in Kharkiv, Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk regions.
In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians are amassing equipment, but it is not enough for a large-scale offensive. This was reported by Pavlo Shamshin, spokesperson for the Kharkiv Operational Tactical Group. He also refuted information about Russia transferring a 50,000-strong force to this direction.
The Russians are trying to create certain reserves, but again, not in quantity sufficient to launch, so to speak, any large-scale offensive operations or to break through the front in the Kharkiv sector.
Last night, a Russian convoy of 40 vehicles, trucks and tractors passed through Mariupol at high speed in the direction of the Zaporizhzhia region, with no lights on. During the day, the movement of personnel from the Berdyansk agglomeration toward Taganrog was recorded, at least 15 trucks. It is likely that the enemy is urgently redeploying troops from the Zaporizhzhia direction to the Sumy region. Yet despite all this, the losses of the Russian army have exceeded 200,000 since the beginning of the year. This was reported by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. These are staggering losses, but as is well known, Russia does not spare its soldiers. The Russians are also making advances in the Pokrovsk direction in the Donetsk region. Overall, the armed forces of Ukraine are heroically holding the front, despite the pressure that increases with each passing day. Leave a like to support Ukrainian soldiers and write a few kind words in the comments. I'm sure they're watching us, and they need this support. Russia continues to attack both military and civilian infrastructure. Today, during another Russian attack, air raid sirens sounded all over Ukraine. And it was precisely during the ceremony where President Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelenska were awarding Ukrainian children with the state honor Future of Ukraine that the siren began to sound. They decided to interrupt the ceremony for safety reasons, but continued their conversation with the children over pizza in the shelter. Unfortunately, this is how award ceremonies take place in Ukraine, and in general, how life unfolds for people who are constantly forced to run to shelters from Russian missiles. Zelensky himself also commented on this event.
Do you understand what's happening?
Today, this award was presented for the first time. We met with children who have gone through occupation, deportation, loss, those who helped others, supported the military, and volunteered. Part of the meeting had to be held in a shelter due to an air raid alert. There I talked with the children. It was a very sincere and warm conversation. We thank every child, and especially the parents and relatives, for their upbringing.
Ukrainian children are truly stronger than they seem. Sometimes it seems to me that they are even braver than some Western officials. The war could enter a nuclear phase. Retired British Colonel Richard Kemp has outlined 4 possible scenarios in which Russia might use nuclear weapons in response to Ukraine's operation to destroy Putin's strategic aviation. This is reported by the Daily Mail. The possible strike options are, the first, against concentrations of Ukrainian troops at the front and their equipment, the second, against a Ukrainian airfield. This would be a kind of act of revenge for the 41 destroyed aircraft. The third option is a strike on a nuclear power plant. And the fourth final option, according to Kemp, could be a major Ukrainian city, such as Kyiv or Odesa.
Russia is wounded much more severely than the Kremlin ever thought possible. The extraordinary operation by Ukrainian special forces deep behind enemy lines has dealt colossal damage to Putin's war machine. There will be retaliation. The Russian president, who above all fears appearing weak, cannot afford to leave such a devastating blow unanswered.
According to a British colonel, Putin might dare to launch a tactical nuclear strike in order not to let himself be defeated and to force Ukraine to surrender. What do you think? Will Putin dare to press the red button? Share your thoughts in the comments. But a non-nuclear Ukraine continues to frighten nuclear-armed Russia. It sounds strange, but that's the reality today. Russia is not all-powerful. Ukraine is once again attacking Russia's strategic aviation. This time, it was done by hackers from the main Intelligence Directorate. They attacked the resources of the Tupolev Design Bureau. They obtained important information about the manufacturer of Russia's strategic aviation. According to anonymous sources in Ukrainian intelligence, the results of this attack will soon be felt in Russia.
Now, there is virtually nothing secret left in the activities of the Tupolev Design Bureau for Ukrainian intelligence. In particular, we have obtained comprehensive information about the individuals directly involved in servicing Russian strategic aviation. The result obviously will be noticeable both on the ground and in the sky.
Ukrainian intelligence had been monitoring the document flow of the Design Bureau for a long time and managed to gain access to critically important data from the Russian strategic aviation manufacturer, totaling more than 4 gigabytes. In particular, this includes official correspondence of the company's management, personal data of the Design Bureau's staff, residential addresses, resumes of engineers and designers, internal procurement information, minutes of closed meetings, and much more of interest. The hackers also left their mark on the website. They published a photo of an airplane being held in the talons of an owl. The bird is a symbol of Ukrainian intelligence. Personally, I like it. How about you? Meanwhile, online, employees of the Ukrainian Security Service have shown unique footage from Operation Web, specifically the preparations for an attack on Russia's strategic aviation. You can see one of the trucks loaded with modular houses setting off on its journey. The driver doesn't even suspect that at this very moment he is cooperating with the security service of Ukraine. Interestingly, Putin still hasn't properly commented on this operation, but he did issue an intriguing order. At the airfield, the Russians are replacing destroyed aircraft to conceal their losses. This can be seen via satellite. Traces of burning still remain at the site, because the Russians didn't have enough time to completely cover everything up. The Russians claim that only 4 aircraft were destroyed, although satellite images that have already been published show at least 11 destroyed planes. But there will be more. The Security Service of Ukraine has not published all the footage of this attack yet, but we are eagerly awaiting it. Let me remind you, officially, Ukraine damaged 41 aircraft during Operation Web. But you know, here's the real problem for Putin. Now he has nothing left to boast about to the Russians or to the world. Every year, Russia hosts one of the most prominent aviation events, the International Aviation and Space Salon. Or rather, it used to. For the past 3 years, it has been cancelled, and this year it won't be held again because there are hardly any planes left. For the 3rd year in a row, the event is being postponed supposedly for security reasons. But we all know the real reason. Russia has failed in all its key civil aviation projects. The developments were never implemented, and Western companies are not coming to Russia because of the sanctions. The aviation industry in Russia is generally one of the most affected by those same sanctions. The second reason is that Putin is losing his aircraft because of Ukraine, which continues to shoot them down. And after Pavutino, there's nothing more to say. That's why the Kremlin doesn't want to show the real state of the industry, which has been driven to decline because of the war. Overall, Russia's war against Ukraine brings nothing good into this world. Ukraine understands this perfectly, as it defends itself from the enemy and seeks peace. But Putin does not understand this, as he spends all the money and resources for the sake of a senseless idea. According to calculations by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, military losses in the war in Ukraine since 2022 have reached 1.4 million people, and most of them are Russians.
According to a new study, nearly 1 million Russian servicemen have been killed or wounded in the country's war against Ukraine, which is a staggering figure as Russia's 3-year offensive against its neighbor continues. The study, published Tuesday by the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, states that since the start of the war, around 400,000 Ukrainian servicemen have also been killed or wounded.
According to the Center for Strategic Studies, nearly 250,000 Ukrainian soldiers are facing off against more than 400,000 Russian troops on the front line. Analysts estimate that for Russia to achieve victory in the near future, the United States would have to stop supporting Ukraine. But for now, both sides may be facing years of war by attrition. In my opinion, there is another way to end the war, to significantly strengthen Ukraine, provide it with all the necessary weapons, tighten sanctions, and together defeat the madman Putin.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
But how Trump will act regarding military aid to Ukraine remains an open question, as his behavior is surprising and drawing global criticism. What's even more surprising is that even Elon Musk has started criticizing the US president. Musk called Trump's tax bill a disgusting abomination. This refers to the federal tax and spending bill, which in its current form will currently increase America's budget deficit by $600 billion.
Sorry, but I just can't tolerate this anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did the wrong thing, you know it.
But at the same time, this bill will expand tax benefits, raise the debt ceiling, and include new spending on border security and the military. Let me remind you, last week Musk left the administration. This comment is his first public disagreement with Trump, but Trump still considers him great and beautiful. What is going on with them over there? While the whole world is distancing itself from Russia, Trump's inner circle is trying to pull the US closer to it. According to journalists from The Telegraph, citing their sources, this refers to Darren Beattie. He is the one involved in shutting down the department that countered Russian disinformation. And here's the strange part. As it turns out, he did this not just on his own, but apparently at the request of his wife, a citizen of the Russian Federation, Yulia Kirillova, whose uncle previously even held the position of deputy governor of the Nenets Autonomous Okrug in Siberia.
Many of Mr. Beattie's posts on social media also concern China. He has repeatedly called on the U.S. to hand over Taiwan to Beijing and describes Britain as a poor and miserable kingdom that would be much better off under Chinese rule.
So the question is, was Darren Beattie able to pass a full security clearance in the U.S., which had already been simplified after the change of administration? Sources in the State Department express skepticism about this. However, in my opinion, a large part of the administration could have such hidden pitfalls. What do you think? Write your thoughts in the comments. Despite all the rumors, Poland remains an ally of Ukraine. The new president of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, made his first statement regarding Ukraine, responded to Zelensky's congratulations on social media, and declared his commitment.
I believe that this requires not only good dialogue, but also resolving long-standing historical issues. Poland has been the most resolute supporter of Ukraine against Russian aggression. No other country understands this threat better than we do. I hope that we will continue to work together for the common good to resolve the unresolved issues of the past and to build a safe future together.
We believe that this will indeed be the case, and we thank the newly elected president of Poland for their support. Let me remind you, earlier he stated that Ukraine was not ready to join NATO or the EU, which sparked a storm of outrage. Words of support, but in a different tone, were expressed by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. He stated that it is unacceptable for the United States to withdraw from the Russia-Ukraine war and supported the imposition of the toughest possible sanctions against Russia. Moreover, he said that if this war ends in a way that makes it seem like the US abandoned Ukraine, it would be even worse than the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
As for Ukraine and Russia, if this war ends in a way that creates the impression of a Russian victory, it will set the whole world on fire. The withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan was a terrible decision. It became the trigger for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It made America look weak in the eyes of the world. I told President Trump this personally, and now I am saying it publicly. If this war ends as if we abandon Ukraine, it will be even worse than the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Do you agree with this opinion? Write in the comments, I always read them. It seems that Russia is having major problems with gas. They say the Kremlin is abandoning the idea of gas cooperation with Turkey, which is actually the only available alternative to the destroyed Nord Streams. Why did Putin abandon this idea, and how will he sell gas now? Katerina Pakalchuk looked into it.
It was all in vain. That's pretty much how you can describe almost 3 years of talk about creating a gas hub in Turkey and Putin boasting about his excellent relationship with Erdogan.
They proposed to create a regional gas hub on Turkish territory. Gazprom handed over a roadmap project for the implementation of this project to the company Botas. Everyone is interested in this. Our Turkish friends, partners, we are interested, and of course everyone who wants to purchase our resources on the European continent. Most of all with me. We have made progress, and I hope that in the near future we will complete the negotiations on creating a gas hub in Turkey.
So, Putin and his associates, in particular the head of Gazprom, Alexei Miller, have already hinted at the start of construction of that very hub. But now they are quietly shelving those plans. As Bloomberg reports, the Kremlin is abandoning the project despite both interest and a significant need for it.
The Russian company Gazprom has quietly postponed its plans to create a new gas distribution hub in Turkey, closing the door on a potential opportunity to regain its position in European markets lost after the invasion of Ukraine. After months of considering various options, the company concluded that it was not viable and has mostly suspended work, according to sources familiar with the matter. As a result, Gazprom has lost the ability to restore even a portion of its gas supplies to Europe, which previously generated about $8 billion in monthly revenue.
After the mysterious explosions of both branches of the Nord Stream pipeline, Russia was left with few options for supplying its gas to Europe, and one of them, transit through Ukraine, is no longer available because Kyiv has shut off the valve. There remain 2 pipelines on the bottom of the Black Sea through which gas is delivered to Turkey.
The TurkStream is a strategically important route for supplying Russian gas to Turkey and to the countries of southern and southeastern Europe. In 2024, gas transportation through this pipeline increased by 23%, reaching 16.7 billion cubic meters. The total capacity of the pipeline is 31.5 billion cubic meters per year. One of the 2 branches of TurkStream is designated for Turkey's domestic needs, while the other provides gas transit to Bulgaria, Serbia, and Hungary.
This, in fact, partially became the basis for the ingenious plan to create an entire gas hub. But the main reason is the end of the Nord Streams. The hub was supposed to be a great alternative to Gazprom, but disputes between the countries arose immediately, mainly because of the management model. Turkey wanted sole control, but the Kremlin was unwilling to share power.
According to the initial discussions, Turkey planned to independently sell the gas supply to the hub, while Gazprom would act only as a supplier, sources familiar with the negotiations reported. The Russian company was unwilling to give Turkey such significant control.
In short, they never reached an agreement on this issue, but this is definitely not the only reason the project was shut down. What really made it unviable, if I may suggest, was Turkey's proposal to create a gas hub in order to help replace Russian gas in Europe. This started being discussed at the beginning of the year.
Turkey is launching diplomatic efforts to resume energy talks with the European Union, aiming to become the main supplier of natural gas. We have the Southern Gas Corridor. We have 18 billion cubic meters of gas, which comes mainly from Azerbaijan, and we can easily increase this volume by connecting it with gas from the Mediterranean. Our role is there, our potential is there, stated Turkey's ambassador to the EU, Faruk Kaymakçı.
It is likely that for almost all 6 months since then, Russia has been trying to persuade Turkey not to withdraw from the process. But the Kremlin's persuasion did not work on Erdogan, because although Erdogan does not mind sitting on 2 chairs, he is a proud president, and if things are not done his way, then not at all. And such self-confidence is entirely justified, considering that the TurkStream is Russia's only gateway to the European Union's gas market. Therefore, whether the Kremlin wants to or not, it is obliged to play by Ankara's rules, especially since, by the way, Turkey has quite a few issues with Russia beyond the war in Ukraine.
Are you sure?
No, come on.
Now, of course, there is also a possibility that Russia simply has problems with its gas supply. But judging by the export volumes to European markets, Russia does have natural gas, and deliveries have increased by 27% compared to last year. So here, it's clear that the root cause is political differences, and these definitely work in Ukraine's favor.
After the epic greeting from the security service of Ukraine on the Crimean Bridge, Russia quickly shot a new propaganda film. The plot follows the classic formula. The FSB, not wanting to appear helpless, quickly detained an alleged Ukrainian agent who was supposedly preparing explosives somewhere in Sevastopol.
When the war started, the special military operation, I realized that I couldn't stay indifferent, and in some kind of emotional outburst, I just went to the website of the Ukrainian Special Services and offered my help, whatever I could do.
Well, what can you say? Just another fairy tale from the Russian Special Services. But honestly, let's feel a bit sorry for them. Just imagine what it's like for them now after all these brilliant special operations. Because the truth is, every FSB agent has no idea where, when, or what the next surprise will be. You have to admit, the SBU has given them hellish days. And this is just the beginning. Like this video to support what we do, and be sure to subscribe to our channel Ukraine Today so you don't miss the next episodes.